It says we're live. The Hangout on Air is live, so it's lock and load time on Monday night, and we've got our great panelists, 2 from Michigan and 1 from Oklahoma. By the way, Oily Prepper, Oily Humble's Home is on Steam It, I heard on the Daily Gun Show that Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa, they're going to have a full auto shoot Saturday. So if you and your husband want to go up there and check it out, you can get your hands on some full auto and have fun.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's just,
he probably won't go because he ruins all my fun.
Who ruins all your fun?
My husband. He won't go to something like that.
He wouldn't want to go to a full auto shoot? Where you could shoot?
If it was closer, he would, but he spends a lot of time driving. Oh, yeah, it's like 4 or 5 hours away.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's a long way to go for a weekend excursion, I guess. But I'd drive 4 or 5 hours to get to go shooting full auto, but I've never shot full auto before, so.
Me either. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, and so from Michigan we have the Hedgehog-free Dusty One on a muddy farm, and Squib from the submarine land. That I assume is also underwater because it's been raining there too.
Oh, no, our rain is just enough rain that it's not practical to go ride your motorcycle rain. It's not enough. Dusty's getting the mud rain. I'm getting the, oh, it's raining. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's not rain. So I'm not bitter, not at all.
So no. You don't have to have a hatch on your house or car when you go outside. So pop open and a periscope to dry.
No, it's kind of like, 6+ months of freezing weather. You can't go ride your motorcycle. Then when the weather gets nice enough, it's raining. But no, it isn't. But it is. But it isn't. Yeah. So, I mean, I will ride in the rain, but only if I have to. So not for my daily commute to work. So now that we're out of the deep freeze, Dusty's got to deal with the mud, and, I've got to deal with hit and miss rainstorms. So
sounds like you got the better part of that deal.
Well, we can bug in and we're okay. So
okay, well, you got to help Dusty build at least one hedgehog, because that might scare off a tank. Okay. So Oily has a Steam It account now, and she talked me into signing up for one. So they wouldn't let me have all the letters that I need for Hawaii Volcano Squad, so I'm just Volcano Squad on Steam It.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, they pay you in cryptocurrencies, and it's like a blog. It's like a blog. There's a lot of people on there, and basically it's they're just forking it from exponential to linear, where you get paid for upvoting and commenting, not just creating content. But and the whole thing about linear is that it means that people when it was exponential, it was the people that had the most Steam coins saved up got their upvote meant more than just a new person. But now they want everybody to be equal, so and have more of a crowdsourced thing, so everybody's vote counts the same on on what's trending. So everybody, it's more like the people get to decide, not just the people who have been on there the longest on what will trend. So anyway, it's interesting. They pay you in cryptocurrency called Steam, and so I guess I'll be checking that out over time. I had a pretty interesting article. I don't know, Squib probably, did you see my last week's show about the carriers and Too Big to Fail?
Oh, yeah. I'm not on the show, and then you want to talk about carriers. I see how it is. That's fine. Whatever.
Well, I had to talk about something because we were all out of submarines to talk about, and you were the submarine guy. And this was just the article that I happened to have. So did you have any thoughts on carriers being too big to fail?
Carriers will be just fine. Carriers face they face threats. It's not impossible to sink one, but I'm telling you that there aren't a lot of military forces out there that have the capability to, first off, penetrate the task force, and then once they get to the ship, actually sink it. I mean, you can hit that thing with a dozen anti-ship missiles; it's still going to float.
Unless they have nuclear warheads. But
how are you going to accurately target an aircraft carrier with a strategic nuclear weapon?
By using a lot of them, overwhelming numbers of them, I suppose.
Oh yeah, because everybody.
They're cheaper than an aircraft carrier. The whole point was, if they're too big to fail, then have you considered what the reaction would be for losing one?
Oh, the reaction would be, damn, that's going to be a lot of money. I'm just saying, you're more likely to get one stuck on a sandbar than you are to sink one. So,
or crash one into a cargo container ship. The way things looked at that Fitzgerald got.
My money's on the carrier. So,
right. Well, they do cost a lot of money, and that is the downside. And basically, the other thing was brought up is that generals are always fighting the last war. So. America has definitely invested everything in carriers, pretty much. As far as
I think we need to bring back battleships. So,
Well, okay. So I'm going to move on to our useless EU European allies.
That's a good one.
There was basically a Wall Street Journal article that was pretty interesting, so I thought I'd bring it up. All right. Here's how it starts out. Soldiers in Germany's Light Infantry Battalion 413 near the Baltic Sea coast complained last year that they didn't have enough sniper rifles or anti-tank weapons or the right kind of vehicles. During exercises, they told a parliamentary ombudsman their unit didn't have the munitions to simulate battle. Instead, they were told to imagine the bangs. Across Europe, similar shortfalls riddle land, sea, air, and cyber forces following years of defense cutbacks.
That's really not unusual. We did it before.
You could just imagine bangs?
Yeah, with was it the Mark 19 or the 50 cal? It's one of the two. We didn't have enough ammo for it, so we were actually out there making sound effects. We were going butter, 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 peanut butter, jam, because for some reason or other they didn't have enough ammo for it, and it was more important the training we were in at that particular time, being able to field strip them and learn how to cycle them and function them and move them and mount them on the tripods and all that other stuff. So I can't remember which one of the two we didn't have ammo for. I thought it was just really weird. It's probably the Mark 19 because I saw more 50 cal ammo than anything else. But that sort of thing does happen, and some units get priority on the ammo, so they may not have it for training, but then they've got it for the frontline troops, or they may not give it to the reserves or the guys in the air wing, or the transport guys, the supply guys and stuff like that, even though they have the weapons for it.
If they're training in the Baltic nations, then those are the frontline troops, because that's what Russia wants back. Anyway,
they can have it.
They can have that. Those are NATO countries. You let them take one NATO country. Just give them the Sudetenland. They'll stop there, right? So continuing, U.S. President Trump last month irked European leaders when he berated them at the NATO new headquarters for insufficient defense spending and what he called unpaid military bills. Current and former European officials were quick to point out that NATO members don't owe dues to the U.S., but they acknowledged Trump wasn't wrong. Europe lacks the capabilities to defend itself. Quote, Trump won't have made many friends during his trip to Brussels, said Richard Sharif, a retired British four-star general and former senior NATO commander. However, Trump is dead right that European nations do not spend enough on defense. When Belgium put hundreds of soldiers on street patrols in Brussels after Paris terror attacks in November 2015, it had to request 1,000 armor sets from the U.S. Army. Britain's Royal Navy has 19 destroyers and frigates. In 1982, during the Falklands War, it had 55. Fighting wars and preventing them doesn't just entail bullets and bombs. Troops and heavy weapons must be moved to the front, requiring fleets of planes, helicopters, and trucks. Arsenals must be ready to reload weapons, necessitating stockpiles of munitions. Armies must be ready to defend themselves and to counterattack, which requires specialized systems. In Europe, all are in short supply. The U.S. has also cut back on troop strength, naval fleet, and tank forces from the Cold War highs, but Europe's offerings are far outmatched by America's high-end military capabilities, including advanced fighters, armed drones, elite special op forces, and aircraft carriers. Despite cutbacks in the Pentagon's budget in recent years, U.S. military spending far exceeds Europe's, and America's conventional forces are generally better trained and equipped than their European counterparts. The U.S. defense budget, $680 billion by NATO calculations, dwarfs the alliance's EU members, which spend a total of $242 billion. Europeans have tried for decades to more efficiently build military hardware and organize troops. That effort is littered with failures, delays, and compromises. Today, European allies spend roughly half as much as the U.S. on defense, yet have less than 1/6 of its combat power, European officials acknowledge. The U.S. has long chastised Europeans for their inadequate military. After the 2011 bombing campaign in Libya, U.S. Defense Secretary Gates criticized allies for not having enough smart bombs to conduct the effort. NATO countries had to rely on U.S. targeting experts and refueling planes, and even borrowed American munitions. The real wake-up call, Allied officials say, was Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea, followed by Moscow's intervention in Syria. Both displayed new Russian tactics and weaponry. Suddenly, long-ignored weapons of the Cold War became relevant again. Quote, the Russian ground forces have underway the biggest modernization program they've undertaken in the last 50 years, said Christopher Foss, editor of Jane's Armored Fighting Vehicles. Their new vehicles are a step change in capability on what NATO has got. For decades, NATO's nuclear forces kept the peace, offsetting any imbalance in conventional forces. Russia wouldn't risk annihilating the planet by invading a NATO country, the thinking went, but in view of the risks of nuclear war, the West would only consider pushing the button against an all-out attack. So-called hybrid scenario like Crimea, involving a handful of unidentified soldiers sneaking across a border to foment unrest, is impervious to nuclear deterrence. That is where conventional weapons fit in. The best way to prevent Moscow from stirring up trouble on NATO's borders has been to ensure the world knew NATO had the firepower to win in any kind of conflict. U.S. and allied officials said NATO's challenges in achieving such deterrence, they are exemplified in the decline in stocks of tanks. During the Cold War, the Netherlands had 445 battle tanks. In 2015, the country put up for sale its last 60 tanks, along with its transport helicopters and many of its naval minesweepers. Instead, Dutch sent soldiers to operate German tanks. But Germany was also cutting its tank numbers from a Cold War peak of 2,125 Leopard 2 battle tanks to a force as of last fall of only 244, of which just over half were ready for action. So like 122 tanks. The reduction has meant units sometimes have to borrow tanks from sister units for training with just hours' notice, according to a parliamentary official. A defense ministry spokesman said military units do sometimes need to borrow equipment from other units to carry out exercises. A problem, she said, that informed a recent government decision to invest more in equipment. The dearth extends beyond tanks. Last year, only around 9 of Germany's 48 NH-90 transport helicopters and 40 of its 123 Eurofighter jets were usable at any given time. Hans-Peter Bartels, the German parliament's armed forces commissioner who functions as a military ombudsman, said in his annual report this year that efforts to improve equipment and replenish munitions stores were taking too long. At Light Infantry Battalion 413, the battalion near the Baltic Sea, he said, material shortfalls led to discontent and frustration among the troops. The German army spokeswoman declined to comment on whether the complaints reported to Mr. Bartels were accurate. She said the battalion currently has equipment and munitions it needs to train properly, carry out its duties. Stories of shortages abound in Europe. France recently sent only 5 tanks and 300 troops to a new NATO force in the Baltic states, partly because French deployments in Africa, Syria, and the streets of Paris have overtaxed its military. According to Allied officials, Britain's storied Royal Navy is without a single aircraft carrier, while it awaits the delivery of 2 carriers. When the HMS Queen Elizabeth set sail in 2021, it may initially carry U.S. Marine Corps F-35B fighter planes, while Britain builds up its own fleet. The UK also has placed its submarine hunting crews with allies because it lacks planes and is awaiting new surveillance aircraft. Am I putting you guys to sleep with this? I don't know. There's a little bit more to it, but...
I'm still awake.
Okay.
I'm just muted so I don't make noises while you're...
Okay. Going through this article. Yeah, okay. Britain, let's see. Britain and France, Europe's biggest defense spenders, and Germany, its biggest economy, have all pledged to rebuild their militaries. In 2016, non-U.S. military spending ticked up by $10 billion, an increase of 3.08% over 2015 outlays. Officials say a first sign that Mr. Trump has had an impact may come later this month when NATO releases preliminary estimates for 2017 European defense budgets. NATO's goal that member countries spend 2% of economic output on defense is formulated as a loose target meant to be reached by 2024, but Washington increasingly treats it as a requirement. Days after the NATO meeting, Mr. Trump tweeted, we have a massive trade deficit with Germany, plus they pay far less than they should on NATO and military. Very bad for the U.S. This will change. And that was his tweet. German officials acknowledged their force has become hollow and vowed to rebuild it. A decision they stressed was made before Mr. Trump's election. Chancellor Angela Merkel pushed through the parliament a military budget increase of 8% this year to 37 billion euros. According to the German government, that represents 1.2% of the country's gross domestic product. Let's see, quote, better defense spending, not just more defense spending, is what is required. Doug Barry of the International Institute for Strategic Studies. German and U.S. critics say changes are too slow. The German Defense Ministry announced in 2015 it would rebuild its tanks force, but the tanks haven't arrived, to the frustration of U.S. military planners. The 760 million euro deal to refurbish 104 tanks was signed only last month. The 2-year gap was due to technical complexity of the refurbishment and procurement process, the German defense spokeswoman said. How money gets spent is another factor. Transportation remains the most critical need. U.S. and NATO officials say the U.S. has been urging allies to extend rail lines to training bases since its transport trailers can't legally carry tanks on European roads due to weight limits. You have to take your tank to where the battle is. You know, an invading Russian army isn't going to just go, wheel their armor right in front of where your tanks happen to be. They're going to pick a spot where you're weak and attack there. Anyway, so the U.S. also wants Europeans to buy their own tank transporters. So basically, the U.S. has the only tanks transporters in Europe. So if there's a problem somewhere, if there's a military situation, the Europeans have no way to move their tanks to wherever the battle is. They have to wait for the U.S. tank transporters to show up, who will probably be busy moving the U.S. tanks first. And so by the time the Europeans get there, the battle will be over. which is probably how they plan. I mean, I'm not saying that the European soldiers aren't brave. Okay, I'm just saying that they don't have the shit they need. This is what this article is saying. Is it costs money. Cargo planes and helicopters are also a big capability gap. Officials say if tensions with Russia flare on NATO borders, war plans call for reinforcements of front lines with NATO rapid reaction forces, but deploying these forces quickly would likely depend on American equipment. NATO says members are beginning to turn a corner. Later this month, the alliance will approve a new defense plan that boosts heavy equipment like tanks, but also calls for additional surveillance planes, refueling tankers, and strategic airlift. In the short term, U.S. is filling the gap in European defenses. The U.S. announced plans for $4.8 billion in new military spending in Europe, an increase of $1.4 billion over last year. In Germany, military spending has become an issue in the September general elections. The main party challenging Merkel is casting her support for higher military spending as kowtowing to Trump, who many German voters dislike. Merkel's chief electoral rival, Social Democrat Martin Schulz, said Thursday he would officially abandon the 2% goal if elected. Quote, I don't think the spiraling arms buildup makes sense, unquote. You know, the easiest way to start a war is to not be prepared for one. I mean, you know, that's just the most idiotic statement I've ever heard, you know. Anyway, if you want to start a war, Sun Tzu said it, you know, prepare weak. Then you will have a war. If you want to avoid a war, then be strong. That's Sun Tzu. Anyway, at last month's NATO summit, where Mr. Trump lambasted the Europeans, several leaders said they would probably advocate higher military spending for the sake of their own national security, not American demands, but they also privately told Mr. Trump they agreed with him. They didn't tell him that publicly or say it to the press. To quote, to an extent, the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, after the meeting, quote, quote, to an extent, he has a point. That's the best you're going to get from any European, I guess.
I would rather over-exaggerate what we have than under-exaggerate what we have. Or if we didn't have much, be truthful about what we have and put ourselves in the line of fire.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, you know, so if Germany only has 122 tanks that are working, down from like 2,500 and whatever, I mean, how are they going to defend their country? You know, I mean.
Yeah, that's nuts.
They have to call us. You know, and that's the whole thing. You know, then I can start babbling about the economy. Anyway, that finishes that up for that. I just want to know if when Dusty's going to build his first hedgehog. But anyway.
Yeah, Dusty, when are you going to build?
I don't think that would fit my. I don't think that would fit my property decor.
Yeah, the neighborhood association wouldn't like that.
Well, you got 300 acres.
What do you mean the HOA wouldn't appreciate that?
The neighborhood association wouldn't like that.
Probably not.
Tell them it's a farming device or something. Tell them it's a crop weather prediction device. Define it.
Abstract art. They don't have to know.
Tell them it's part of a well. It's a new well system. You got to keep those tanks up, you know, way off your property so you can bug in, dude. Anyway.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to. According to you, they don't have to worry about tanks. He doesn't have to worry about European tanks coming over here because one, they can't move them, and two, they're all broke down. So. Well,
yeah, it's Red Dawn when the Russians come in. You know, that's the problem. The Russians have new tanks apparently, and they're the shit. They're you know, new generation of technology for tanks. The Russians have the best gear, armor they've had in 50 years. They're modernizing everything.
And it's still not better than ours.
Well, at least their shit works. I know it, but I mean, are we going to spend, all our money defending, Romania? Really?
And we've had a presence over there since the 1940s. That's probably, I don't know when that would change. The defense budget changes with administrations. It also changes with the threats. The Cold War ends and the threat becomes terrorist, or they were trying to do nation building in Africa, or whatever. It just goes back and forth. And, you'll have one administration come in and cut the budget and weaken the military. Have another one come in and strengthen the military, and it goes back and forth and back and forth. And, no, we need to move our assets to this part of the world. No. This is more important. And they move them here and they move them there. And sometimes we have issues where, we've got way too much stuff and they trim it, and then they trim it too much, or some of the stuff becomes outdated and they didn't think, oh crap, we need to replace this. We haven't been working on a replacement, and then they scramble for a replacement, or they just refurbish the old stuff. Or maybe we can repurpose something. The A-10 is a perfect example of that. It was meant to take out those Russian tanks that really are not a threat anymore, and now it's really good as an interdiction type aircraft and stuff. So there are different things you can do to work within your budget if you've got a tight budget. And there are different things that you can do with your equipment, or maybe, okay, this year we can't authorize 30 new programs. So maybe we can authorize 10 or 15. Some stuff gets canceled, right? Either because it costs too much, or they find out they never had a need for it to begin with. I mean, Britain.
Yeah, but if you're in Europe, you just, we don't have to do anything. Let the Americans do it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're America, or we're the world's 911 force. We do this crap all over the world. Sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a total waste. But I mean, if we pulled out of there, Russia might be a bigger threat. But I mean,
a bigger threat.
Well, I mean, okay, so Russia kicks the door in and they go, all right, the Americans are out. We're going to come in with all of our new sophisticated tanks. And they get across the border and they move in and they go, thank goodness you're here, Russia. Great, here, take on our debt. So, I mean, that's
really what's the problem. I mean, here's the problem. That's the problem with the whole world. The world is in such big debt. The entire gross domestic product of the planet is about $70 trillion of services and goods that it produces every year. 70 trillion. The debt, I mean, just the derivatives that Deutsche Bank holds is 550 trillion. One bank. And all that includes all the non-performing, insolvent other banks that got packaged up into credit derivative obligations and credit default swaps into this one gigantic catastrophe. And if they take one card out of that house of cards, the whole thing will come tumbling down, and there won't be any money for anything.
They can just print more.
Exactly, they'll just print more, and or they'll basically what'll happen is the banks will all just close until they figure it out.
Well,
and then hey, that's why I bought 3 cans of number 10 Mountain House food. Number 10 cans of Mountain House foods, different kinds. So off of Amazon. By the way, for people who think the U.S. stock market is doing so great, Amazon, who just bought Whole Foods, the price to earnings ratio of Amazon is 186 to 1. That means if you buy the stock, you will make the money that you spent for the stock back in 186 years. It's crazy. I mean, so it's just America isn't going to be able to afford this kind of shit anymore, and hell, guess what? Putin met with the founder of Ethereum because he wants to switch Russia to. He wants to be the first. He wants to have the first national cryptocurrency, officially recognized by a government, because he thinks it'll supplant the U.S. dollar. They really want to get rid of the U.S. dollar, which is as the world reserve currency, because that's what keeps the U.S. running, is the fact that, you know, if somebody wants to do an oil transaction in you know, in somewhere in the Gulf or anywhere, that they have to pay in dollars, you know, and Russia doesn't do that, Iran doesn't do that, and China doesn't want to do that anymore. But when everybody else also switches to something else, then, you know, so that's why, you know, it's like, you have your preps ready, man. You know, I don't know when the bubble is going to pop, but when it does, it's going to be nasty. And it's just, this is like another bubble. The fact that EU has no military capability, you know, without the US. So.
Well, have you ever heard of rehypothecation?
Yeah, the rehypothecation of gold, you know, it's imaginary gold and silver that they sell on the COMEX. It's, you know, they say, you take a piece of paper, you write down 1,000 gold bars on it, and you sell it to somebody for whatever 1,000 gold bars is. You know, it's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like well, hypothecation is a legal term. Well, I'll just tell you this definition. Granting hypothec to a lender by a borrower. So basically, say you had gold, and you're letting me basically
Borrow at least
borrow on that, but at the same time, you're still basically maintaining ownership. Well, rehypothecation adds another layer to it. So basically, it's also being pledged to a third party, you know, as the same collateral, so to speak. So, I mean, that's how a lot of our debt is right now, and that is going to be crazy. You know, it can't stand on that. You know,
yeah. Eventually, it's gonna just all fall down like a house of cards, but I don't know when. You know, if I knew when, I could, you know, become rich very quick by shorting everything the day before.
Yeah.
But with all the banks closed down, it won't help anybody if you're short or long or anything, because, you know, if they just close down all the banks and steal everyone's money, it's going to be one gigantic bail-in, and, you know, who knows what you're going to get out of it. I don't know. You know, I mean, I have a friend who's I talked to, who's, you know, his net worth is like 50 million, and he's like, well, I just trade, make money, and put it in the bank. I was like, well, what are you going to do with it when the banks close? He said, that'll never happen. Bullshit. It's happened before, you know, so I don't know when it's going to happen. You know, I don't have a crystal ball, but yeah, it's getting crazy. So, you know, but hey, I guess I just try and be a balanced person with all my preps and everything, and just have, you know, enough guns, ammo, and, you know, number 10 cans full of freeze-dried food, and you know, but I try and make it prepping fun. You know, I don't like to be like all negative all the time and be super serious about it. I think prepping can be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it preparing, but also consider it a hobby, you know, and I do try to make it fun, you know, for myself.
Well, I know you were talking about on your like steamer thing about your oily, because you have like some you've had a headache since you were married or something like that, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
Pretty much. It's like, not tonight, honey. I have a headache for 26 years straight. Yeah, I have occipital neuralgia. I was basically getting out of the back of a pickup when somebody gunned it about that time, and so it flung me back, and I smacked my head on the pavement.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But so your oily essential oils help you deal with that?
Yeah, it helps knock the pain down some to where it's a little more tolerable. I mean, sometimes it doesn't help, but most days it does.
Okay, so that's how you got into prepping, or at least that part of it. But you said you had like a pretty large amount of property. Do you use that for farming or anything, or just?
Well, we have cattle on most of it. They graze it, and then the rest of it, we pretty much hay it, you know, so that we have hay to feed them over the winter and stuff. So. that's what we do with it, and it's really sandy soil. So I'm working on composting now to try to build up some good soil, because it's just sand, and so most everything you grow in it, the wind being the Oklahoma wind,
Dust
and they're not
bowl.
being in
Yeah.
wind breaks out here. Yeah, it just blows the sand right off the plants, or blows the plants right out of the ground. So um, I'm working on that right now. I grow stuff in containers, but
But hey, well, building
it's just
300
the
acres
garden
with a
stuff.
greenhouse could be expensive. I mean,
Yeah. Well, we've got like a shed out there that's pretty good size, kind of like a lean-to. It's open. We're gonna enclose one end that's gonna be for chickens, and the other end, probably the chickens will be this year, and then next year we're going to fix the other end where it's like a greenhouse, where it's open. I mean, where it's got the
is that going to
the
be
light field.
expensive?
No, because the structure's already there. So I mean, most of that'll be taken care of, and so it'll give me some protection and be able to allow me to grow some stuff throughout the winter, and also start things early that I can plant out, because I'm going to work on raised bed gardening and do that.
Yeah, that ought to be interesting as far as from the videos you could make on gardening and stuff. Because I've been watching a lot of prepper videos. Whenever I get bored, I binge watch prepping videos, and then I saw some chicken videos, some farming videos, I'm like, wow, I live in a condo. It would be great. I think it'd be great to run a small farm, not one like 300 acres or anything, but it's
Yeah.
like, like I said, I can't do that right now.
We have 180 acres, and most of it's for the cattle to graze and the donkey. But
One donkey.
Well, we had two. There was Irma and Festus, but Irma died this year, about 2 months ago. Yeah. So anyway, so now it's just Festus out there, and he's a grumpy old Turk. So we just let him do his thing. He won't even come to us. But
Try alfalfa.
alfalfa, might need to try that. Might need to. Yeah, he don't like me very well. I don't know why. Then we had a donkey all of a sudden show up here after Irma died, and I'm not sure he didn't have something to do with it, because he was out chasing our cattle, like running them. We think he killed one of them, just running them until they died. He was biting at the baby calves and stuff. We got him shooed over and fixed the fence, but if he comes back over, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to die. Take a dirt nap, because he's killing our cattle.
You got to be able to protect your livestock. Hey, Oily, maybe that's a good topic for 2 Thursdays from now, gardening or something like that. You're talking about raised bed gardening. What's the difference between raised bed and, like, what's the advantage?
Well, I mean, the advantage would be I could just it would be easier to like bring in soil at this point, and because I mean, having basically all sugar sand, I mean, that's all it is, unless you go about 4 feet deep, and then it's clay. So we're just gonna have to.
So basically, your soil isn't that great for farming right now. So that's why you need raised beds.
Right, other than like grass. I mean, we've got grass out there, and that grows okay. But if you do anything like food-wise, as far as plants goes, about the only thing you probably get to grow out here would be asparagus and maybe potatoes. But anyway, so right now I just have a few containers with some peppers and some onions, and I have a couple of tomato plants and a couple of strawberry plants. But that'll be expanding next year. So.
Okay, just wanted to give a shout out to the people in the externals: Faith Abounds and Melody Acres, Methem 88 from the Ammo Mafia, and let's see. That's about all I see. Jared's out there.
Yeah.
Jared Welsh, and I'm still waiting on my artwork for my channel from Billy Barron. So nothing new on any new patches or stickers for my channel yet. So thanks y'all for stopping by. And anybody get any new guns or anything or any ammo since the last week?
I haven't got any new ammo or guns or anything. Nothing related to that. I've kind of boring on that front this week, actually.
I decided that this year when I renew my renter's insurance, I would get a rider on my policy to cover my firearms. My current renter's insurance doesn't cover my firearms at all. They'll cover the safes, my reloading equipment, all my spare parts, my slings, my gun cases, the ammunition, ammo cans, everything but the actual firearms themselves. And I called around and looked into it, and my automotive insurance has renter's insurance. It's way too high, but they do cover firearms. The problem is they'll only cover a maximum of less than half of the value of my firearms in a case of theft. They'll cover 100% in a case of a fire or flood. And I mean, I've got safes. It would not be easy to haul them out of here, but you know, if somebody's willing to go to the trouble, I suppose they can get a safe out of any house or building.
Well, I mean, are your safes, good, strong enough to like stand up to like a circular saw?
Oh yeah, you would want to take them out of the house to cut them open. You wouldn't want to do it here. You'd make so much noise, or risk, setting all the stuff around them on fire, that it wouldn't be worth it. You'd want to get them out of here to do that. But the whole point is, I was listening on some chats on gun channels, some shows about what it takes to have insurance on your firearms, and you have to have something on your policy called a rider, and it's a separate part of your policy that you pay for. And I looked into it, and it's actually not that affordable. My agent shopped around for me. He's going to switch insurance companies for me, and he's going to get me 100% of the value of my firearms if they're damaged in a fire, a flood, or theft. And this is separate from all the stuff like the safes, the reload equipment, the gun cases, all the other accessories are covered under my regular renter's policy, like my TV set or my computer or something. And it's kind of been a pain in the butt. I spent half of Father's Day inventorying my guns, getting all the serial numbers and taking pictures and things like that. And I saved every receipt from every time I bought one. I scanned those, and I took pictures of most of them right after I bought them, but I never really tried to organize them or make a spreadsheet. Man, I tell you what, staring at a computer screen like that, typing real slow, it'll hurt your eyes. But if there's anybody out there that was considering getting insurance on their firearms, or they have homeowners or renters, find out if they cover your firearms, and if so, do they cover theft? Because if they don't, I've heard that the NRA Arms Care is not very good. I think you get $2,500 with your membership. I've looked into getting enough Arms Care to cover my guns, and it was, for what they wanted, I could buy a couple new guns every year. It just wasn't worth it. I think
what's this rider going to cost you?
$75 a year.
That's not bad.
It will cover 100% of the value of my firearms, no matter what happens to them. They just want a list of every gun that I have with serial numbers. And it's the same sort of thing that you would give the police if you did a police report. Somebody took off with my Mauser. Here's the model and serial number, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to check the pawn shops, obviously. So.
Well, good luck getting anything out of a pawn shop. It's not easy. Possession is 9/10 of the law. It's not impossible, but it's.
That's true, but when you sell your gun or you pawn your gun around here, they take your fingerprints and everything. So, I mean, they take a copy of your driver's license.
They take your fingerprints to sell a gun? I can understand to buy. I can't understand.
Okay, if you're a thief and you want to make some quick cash, you break into a house, you steal the jewelry. Maybe you take the flat screen TV and you take any firearms that aren't locked up, or if you can get the safe out and crack it open.
It assumes that everybody that owns a gun is a thief. I mean,
no. What does a thief do with it right after he gets it? Do you think he keeps it? No, he pawns it for drug money. He pawns it. No, he pawns it for drug money. Well, yeah, he might sell it on the street, but he may also pawn it for drug money.
Yeah.
Okay, that they try to turn the stuff over quick to get drug money. So if you're willing to, make it easier to trace you, yeah.
That is a problem. Somebody was saying that backpacks, bug out bags are good for if you have precious metals, that you could fill it up with precious metals. And I'm based on what happens around here in Hawaii. I mean, no way would I put precious metals in a bag and walk down the street with it, because people get robbed just for the bag, because it's so easy to pawn, and to trade for drugs. I mean, people have been stuck up at gunpoint for their bags. Just, people have been beat up with right by my house like a block away from my house at the Denny's with a expanding baton. One guy had his head skull crashed in, had concussions. They had to fly him to the Queen's Hospital on Oahu, and he barely survived. Just for some druggie could get a bag to sell for his ice fix. And yeah, people have just they see you walking down the road. If it's not just in a remote country lane location, they'll do it right in the center of town. Somebody will ride up in a Jeep, point a gun at you, and say, "Give me your backpack." So I wouldn't put metals in it, because they'll just wearing a backpack in the first place makes you a target.
Well, I don't want my firearms lost, stolen, or destroyed, but just the fact that I never got around to getting insurance on them, or I thought my insurance was enough. And like I said, from some chats and some shows on gun channels over the past year, I've heard enough about it that it got me into doing research, and I found out it's something I need to get. For me, it's not that expensive. $75 for years, not that bad.
Reasonable.
And it's something that I suppose I should have made a spreadsheet a long time ago, but I believe G-Web said that one of the Daily Gun Show episodes this week is going to be about keeping a list of your firearms for insurance purposes or that sort of thing, if it's a good idea or bad idea. So I'll be checking out the shows this week to see what they have
you
to
were
say
saying
about that.
earlier that they said the NRA's insurance was not that good.
They call it Arms Care, and supposedly with your membership you get like $2,500. But what I've heard on gun channels is a bunch of horror stories about how they don't honor it or whatnot. I know that I went on their website and they allow you to buy more than $2,500 if you want. And I looked and I tried to figure out what my guns were worth, replacement value. And I typed that in, and it was a couple $1,000s a year. And I'm like, for that, I could just put the money in the bank, and if something happens to my guns, I'll just buy new ones.
Unless the bank closes, but yeah.
Well, but I mean, I'm not, so there's got to be something reasonable. And I mean, that would be the same thing for my pickup truck or my motorcycle, or even the possessions in my home. I have to say, what is it really worth to me? What kind of hassle do I want to go through to replace this stuff if the house burns down? I don't think we're going to get a flood, but if they put the fire out, the house is going to get flooded. I guarantee you that. I think it was Dusty was the one that was talking about being a volunteer firefighter, and the amount of damage to items inside a air quotes fireproof safe from when the firefighters come in there and have to douse the house with water and whatnot. So just if you value your firearms, it might be something to look into. I know not everybody's got the money, but I mean, just shop around. So.
Well, I had a place burned down, and I didn't have any safe or fire. But I mean, all that was left was ashes. So I mean, literally, I made the front of the news of the Channel 2 news that they had me walking across a beam of a burned out beam that used to be like a structural beam, and that it was just a pile of ashes. And I was literally digging through the ashes, and then one of the neighbors came up and said, "Dude, you ought to just go to the Red Cross Center at the church." And that was good advice. They gave me like a voucher for first and last month's rent on the beach. So I got a rental on the beach, courtesy of the Red Cross, pretty much. And it was hard because to find a place, because almost instantly there was, when the 91 or 92 Malibu fire happened, there was like all these super wealthy Malibu homeless people who would not move to the valley under any circumstance. So their whole families living on the Pepperdine basketball court. But No, I kept my gun in my car, which was illegal at the time, but I didn't know no better back then.
Illegal
mean-
but safer.
Illegal but safer. I mean, I saw my ammo blow up on TV. Because I had like it wasn't just ammo. I had a 50 caliber can full of fireworks and gunpowder and ammo. And when I saw the apartment that they were interviewing the fire chief, like right in front of what's now Duke's, was just like my place that I rented was just up the street on Rambla Pacifica, and when I heard all the ammo also go boom 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 boom. I mean, I know it didn't come out at a very fast rate, but I mean, I had all kinds of shit in there, and when it exploded, the fire chief like ducked and almost hit the ground on my TV. I was like, oh well, I guess my place burned down, and but yeah, there's nothing left after a fire. It looked, my whole street looked like London after the Blitz. So, does anybody have any comments on that, on anything that's happening over there in London at all? Or
Just sheer madness, just craziness.
Yeah, it's a crazy world. I guess the biggest threat in London is people in white vans.
Oh man.
And
I don't know. I can't imagine being in that happened here in Oklahoma. We had a lady that was just crazy, and she plowed through a big crowd at a homecoming parade thing in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I believe it was, and plowed through, killed quite a few people, including children. And yeah, that would be pretty crazy to have an experience like that. But wasn't the guy just plowed through a bunch of people in front of the mosque? Is that what happened this time?
yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Father Ford decides he wants to run over people going to pray or coming back from praying. If you're pissed at radical Islamic terrorism, it's not; those aren't the people that go to pray. Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of mosques
If you want to kill radical Islamic terrorists, join the military.
Yeah,
and they'll
That's what I was about to say. Join the military.
and tell them you want to volunteer to do that, and they'll point you in the right direction. May not be what you expect, but
The problem is if you want to take it head on and you wanna meet the violence with force, then do it on the battlefield, or do it. There's a place and a time. Don't stoop to their level. In the cities, on a civilian population. That doesn't mean that you can't make an arrest. That doesn't mean I'm totally for profiling. Somebody can say whatever they want to say, but I'm sorry, but you fit the profile. I'm not talking about unnecessary detention or whatnot, but when they're a real funny scene in old 80s comedy movie Airplane 2. They got the metal detector, and the guy walks through with a machine gun, and he looks like he was in the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and they let him through. And another guy walks through with explosives, and they let him through. And then this little old lady with a purse comes walking through, and it sets off the metal detector, and they slam her against the wall. And while they're frisking her and tearing her apart, the guy walks through with an RPG. And it was comedy at the time, but that's literally the way it seems to be, because we don't want to be accused of this or that or the other from profiling. There's certain things that you can do in a civilian setting in the cities and that sort of thing. Everything else is on the battlefield. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning what they did at all. I'm just saying
it's terrible. I just can't.
There are radicals that do go to mosques and go to pray.
Yes,
There's a lot of radicalized mosques, but at the same time, I agree. I never think it's okay unless the child is probably running towards you with something that's going to harm you, like a a grenade or something like that, or a gun, then I don't think it's okay to just go kill children who are going to church to pray, or women, or, not that there aren't radicalized women out there. There are, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Civilians.
I just think it was the least likely spot to actually find a bad guy. It was out in front of
If the violence escalates off the battlefield, they will be doing things that they do overseas, where they use children, or they use women with children, or
they've been doing well without having to do that. I mean, they have been practicing perfect asymmetrical warfare. They used European transportation system. They used the internet, which was built by somebody else. They didn't use any of their own money and they just incite violence, with none of their own infrastructure. It's all the infrastructure that Europe built, and it's being used against them by, ISIS. And so, if you want to fight ISIS, join the military, and volunteer for it. I mean, if you're, the right age, if you're a fighting age, then do that. You don't have to, I know people get frustrated, but,
well, they're dealing a lot over there with different areas where Muslims are trying to implement Sharia law, or trying to shove Sharia law down their throats and stuff. And there's a lot of anger over that, and a lot of picketing over that. So I think it's ramping people that are against that up, which, that's when the crazies start coming out. You know what I mean? When people start getting ramped up about stuff, there's going to be crazies in every group. And
yeah, well, people have been amped up for quite some time, apparently. So, and it's, I don't know. Hey, Metham88, I see you out there. Anything new in the ammo mafia? I just wish I could get your guys' mainland prices over here in Hawaii, because, they showed our local, the Daily Gun Show had our, the local gun shop, Kona Guns, on they just showed the website, and they've got some, ammo, but it's all, it's all mostly Hawaiian. Ever since the Sports Authority closed, it's been just, in Kona, it's been pretty much the only game in town. So luckily I was way stacked up before Sports Authority closed, but I always watch the Ammo Mafia people on YouTube, and I get so jealous because they get such great prices for ammo that we can't get over here.
yeah.
So you mainland people are lucky as far as ammo prices go, but
you could always leave Hawaii.
well, I think Method said to come down over by where he lives, and he gave me some ammo prices, but I need like a C-130 cargo plane to bring all the ammo back here.
Oh my goodness.
So Method, how much 22 ammo do you have? Yeah, I'll screen share it again on just for this show, although because it looks cool. I think like Metham said he had at one point like over 1 million rounds of 22 in his garage or something crazy like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you leave it to me in your will, Metham? I can arrange for a good accident to happen rather quickly after that wheel stays there.
Yeah, you can let him ride your mule, but let's see. I'm gonna see if I
My
can find
mule
it.
will ride him, I think.
Well, oh wow, I did notice that Copes had a night vision scope for $350. It's Gen 1 plus Polish. Hey, I'll screen share that one first. Let me punch up the Kona Gun Shop, because check out the local gun shop really quick. Let's see, in case you missed the Daily Gun Show earlier, which there's a YouTube channel called Daily Gun Show, and it's run by people that run gun channels. So let's see, where's get back to my screen share button really quick. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
And so that's the looking at like the sales area. That's like the front wall. You walk in and turn to your right. That's the wall that I think he said he got those glass cases from like an old smoke shop. So I don't know if it was a head shop or just a vape shop or what kind of. But anyway, now it has guns. So he's got a lot of really cool S&Ws in that case on the left, and I bought a lot of guns from this shop. I bought my revolver from the one in the Hilo side, and here's their ammo. Here, this big screenshot's for you, Methan. Let's go down here. There's the ammo section. They also, yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah, and he also has another pile of cases of ammo in the middle of the shop. When you walk in, there's this big pile of ammo like in the middle, not counting this just up against the front wall. And he has some knives that he sells there too. You can get it, which you can get cheaper on the internet. But I come here and buy ammo to support the local gun shop. Because God, if this place goes, then there won't be any place. I have to drive all the way over to Hilo to buy a gun or ammo. So, but I do have a lot of ammo, but there's never enough. So anyway, that's that. And let me see what else. I was going to say really quick here on the Peruta case for the Second Amendment update. Basically, once again, it has been nothing happened. And it's been redistributed for a Thursday conference on June 22nd. Supreme Court, they still haven't either denied or granted a hearing for the Peruta case of Ed Peruta. And let's see. Here is Oily Prepper Steam It page.
Oh, gee.
Here's the Polish. This is on Copes Distributing. I got one of their emails, and if you're into the night vision or if it's on your list, it's only $350. May not be the best night vision, but the price is right, and it will fit a Dragunov, PSL, PKM, SG43, or most AK style side rails, and it's cammed for 7.62 by 54R. So if you don't have any night vision at all, level 1's better than nothing. So all right. There's all the cryptocurrency stuff on Steemit, but anyway, and that. If I can find my way back to the end of the screen share.
Now, who said that there was Bushnell scopes on sale? Somebody said there was Bushnell scopes on sale.
Well, I hope you're not talking about the TRS-25. That is my least favorite red dot on the planet. It's just I have the problem I have with that is just
It's
Jesse.
yesterday's pomade. Just heads up, Bushnell currently has $40 rebate on their optics.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yes, yesterday's pomade. I was scrolling, and I guess my eyes are going crisscross because I couldn't find it. There it is.
So all their optics, their regular optics, not just the TR. Okay, that's cool. Not just the red dot. Okay, yeah, they make some good, decent, telescopic sights. I wouldn't buy their. I mean, I have one of the TRS-25s, and I don't like it.
Ain't that the one on your CZ?
No.
Oh.
I have a loophole on my CZ.
Oh.
I don't
How
have.
do I keep forgetting that?
You haven't watched my video enough times. Keep watching it. I need to make more videos of my guns, me shooting. So I got to take my Tavor out next time for sure. I love shooting. It's just, I love going out and shooting, but, it's always, I can't always just drop everything just to go shooting. And what really sucks is I can't bring my handguns out anymore ever since at the end of 2015 when the governor signed the new hunting regs that, so you can only take out hunting caliber rifles or weapons on. So I'd have to get like a 44 Magnum or something,
What's wrong with that?
I don't have one.
Yeah, you need to jump into the big board club.
Well, the problem is I would, but they passed another new law that says you have to pay for that if you buy any gun, or you want your long gun permit renewed, you have to pay them money to be on that damn illegal wrap back list, that they created, and I am not paying them to be on that list that violates the 1986 Firearms Owners Protection Act. I mean, it's a state law that violates a federal law, and they really do not care. And, and so it's like this illegal law that they passed, and the police is like saying, yeah, if you want a permit to acquire a weapon, you have to pay us $42 or $72 or whatever it is. I'm not paying them one penny. The state of Hawaii is broke. As a matter of fact, they have a special session. I just got an email. Basically, they are dead broke, and they don't have any money to finish the Hawaii Authority for Rapid Transit rail project. And the federal government is going to want their money back if they don't finish it. So the state of Hawaii, not only if they don't finish it, not only are they in the hole already to all their unfunded, basically the government employee pension funds and their health care is all unfunded liabilities that they do not have the money for. So they have a special session of the legislature just to raise taxes for the Hawaii rapid transit system. And if it basically, Patrick, I can't take my 357 Magnum out because the barrel isn't long enough. 357, you have to have like a 5-inch barrel for the muzzle pound pressure or whatever it is, however they measure it, to be enough to be adequate for the Hawaii hunting regs. I just have a snub-nosed, so it would have to be like a 5-inch barrel, and mine's just a snubby. So, I mean, it would kill a pig, I promise you, but, I basically just take my rifles out. Hey, I love shooting my rifles too. It's just, if I do it and the DLNR catches me, I mean, they have a video that when I was talking about like a couple weeks ago about the Napali Coast and all the people that are camping out there, all the homeless people that are camped out on the Napali Coast, and they did a video on their YouTube channel of the Department of National Resources, Land and Natural Resources. They did a video, and they seized somebody's in the camp had a crossbow. They said, "This is an illegal crossbow." The fuck is illegal about it? Well, we seized it because it's an illegal crossbow. Well, they didn't have a permit to be camped there, okay. But what was illegal about the crossbow? They are seizure happy. If you have hollow points, if you don't have hollow points, if you just have a full metal jacket, they will seize all your guns. If you have one full metal jacket bullet in the mix of everything has to be like a hollow point or a hunting round. Specifically, can only have hunting weapons. So I don't know why the guy think that crossbow was illegal. Maybe the guy didn't have a hunting permit, but you don't seize their crossbow for that. You just write him a citation and he goes. I mean, it's like $10 to get a hunting permit. And so, but all right. So I was going to go find that email from the Hawaii Republican Assembly, because the Republican Party here is just completely infiltrated and useless. Right. So let me dig that up. Here it is. That it's on the special session for increasing tax for rail construction is a go. Let the fleecing get worse. With zero opposition from the Hawaii Republican Party, a special session of Democrat-run Hawaii State Legislature is being scheduled for July or August so that taxes can be increased again to fund the first 20 miles of the 34-mile Hanneman-Caldwell-Jeju rail transit system. Democrats and rhinos are coming for your wallet again. With the new state GOP chairperson, Shirlene Ostrov precisely followed her predecessor, Fritz Rolfing's example by staying silent about taxes and rail and the prospect of a special session. and while Ostrov's opponent, Republican Minority Leader Andrea Tupelo, joined her rival by also doing absolutely nothing, the Hawaii's GOP gubernatorial candidate, Rhino Bob McDermott, begged Governor Ige to call the legislature back into session so their taxes could be raised even higher and more punishing to island families. Today, Democrats interpreted these crystal clear political messages as carte blanche approval to zoom ahead and do whatever they want to raise additional revenue for phase one of the troubled rail construction project. They didn't have to read the tea leaves to see that Republicans would give them no trouble whatsoever, and that some fake Republicans like McDermott were chopping at the bit to vote for higher taxes. But this decision to fund rail at all costs is not a temporary funding measure. The reality to taxpayers is that funding rail will be a permanent part of their lives and future generations. Anyone who has ever worked in sales knows that earning residual commissions off a sale, like insurance, can set you up with a lifetime of income, long past the original moment that you made the sales pitch and got the. So when, like Squib, when you pay that and sign that rider, that whoever sold it to you is going to get paid, you know, a percentage, a sales commission every year when you renew. So, I mean, it won't be that much. It's $75 a year, but he'll get paid. But this is the same thing will happen with taxes. I mean, basically, the federal government gave Hawaii, you know, a few $1 billion to help as a subsidy to help build this rail system. But, you know, the costs have gone up exponentially. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to cost $20 billion now instead of the $3 billion they thought it would cost. But basically, they haven't finished building it, and the federal government wants their money back. Even under Obama, they said, if you don't finish this thing, you know, then give us the money back, you know, that we gave you. And, well, Trump is definitely going to want the money back from Hawaii if they don't finish this thing. So they're going to finish this thing, and they'll just give everybody else a tax. They already raised, the county of Hawaii raised taxes like 6.5% just like last week, and that's Hawaii County. But this is going to be the state legislature in Oahu raising taxes. So anyway. What's happening out there in the external is the Ammo Mafia making a pass at Oily? She's married. I mean,
I didn't see where he made a pass at me, did he?
oh, I don't know. Or maybe you made a pass at him. I don't know.
He does have
No,
all that
I-
ammo.
Yeah. It's a nice dowry.
Well, he's already leaving everything to me in his will, so I don't think I need to make a pass at him.
Okay.
But he needs to kind of let me know if something's changed there. I'll have to talk it over with the hubby, you know. For all those weapons and ammo, yeah, he might go for it. I don't know.
Okay, well, you have to get over your headache, so you'll need to work on your essential oils.
Or just find something stronger, I guess.
So,
I guess I could drink all the tincture I have. I don't know.
So, are you going to be doing? I haven't figured out how that whole steamer thing works yet because I just signed up for it. But you know, it looks interesting. You know, so are we doing bug out bags on your Thursday show on your channel again? The last
The
of it.
last 3 things.
The last 3 things on the list.
Yes.
Okay.
Finally, we're on the last 3 things. So, and if I could find my list, then I could tell you what they are. I know one's first aid, one is comfort items for kids, and or anyone really, and then I can't remember the other one, and I can't find my list. Here it
Well,
is.
you have all the way until Thursday. Oh, you found it. Okay.
Yeah, documents, which we kind of already went over already because Mouse Toes is very thorough that way. So
Okay.
That's what we got.
Anybody?
Anything else that anybody can think of? Sorry, didn't realize you were going to talk.
Yeah, but I didn't have anything important to say. I was just going to ask if anybody had any gun-related stuff on the panel that they wanted to talk about before we close it out for the week.
Well, Patrick and I are talking here on the chat about getting a safe. We started out talking about he wanted to get a 44, and I told him to save up, but he says he needs to get a safe before he gets another gun. And I think I was somewhere around 5 or 6 guns, and my first son had been born when I decided, okay, cable locks aren't going to do it. I need to get a safe. So he was saying here, I told him that, now I have 4 safes, and he said he's got to get a bigger house to have 4 safes. I only have room for 1 per the wife's rules. Well, that can change, Patrick, because the last safe I bought, my wife told me, she says, you've got too many guns. Yes, you better go get another safe. So that's why I got safe number 4, because my wife told me to. So,
it took a lot of maneuvering. You just kept buying guns. You just kept buying guns until she went insane and said, "Go buy a safe."
She was like, "You just got too many guns. Guess you better go get another safe." So that's why our relationship works out so well. But
you have what has your wife ever said? You have too much ammo. You gotta go buy more guns. How about you have more room in the safe? Maybe you can buy another gun.
No, I just make sure the ammo's kept out of the way. But as long as I guess as long as I don't ask her to lift it, we're fine. But over time, if you start acquiring more guns, and I mean, there's people with a lot more guns than me. If you're ever not sure how many guns you have, inventory them and do a spreadsheet. And after your eyes hurt from the eye strain of looking at the computer screen, you can look over in the far left column and it'll read the number and be like, dang, I got that many. So yeah, after a while they build up. You got to have a nice
when your computer starts running out of memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the safes are just they're not foolproof. They're a deterrent. I mean, for me, it's more about the kids not getting into them. I mean, the kids are older now and they know better. If I left a gun out, they wouldn't get into it. But it's partly for that and partly for theft deterrent and partly for protection in a fire and whatnot. But they're a good investment to have. Well, you can put things in them other than just guns. I've got more paperwork in mine than anything else.
And silver.
Yeah. My wife's safe is mostly for silver. I think I need to get her another safe.
Yeah, SD Bullion sells some really nice ones, but they're expensive. The Israeli safes, but they're super expensive. They're like tool-proof safes, but they cost a lot. So I wouldn't, But the one I got, I like, and it was like less than $500. So the closet safe I got. I did a short video. The Tac Vault, Gun Vault, or the Gun Vault, Tac Vault. One of those two. So I have a couple of gold coins and things in there, but that's not where I usually keep them. It's mostly for my guns. And I feel I have more peace of mind knowing that they're not just laying around the condo if I'm not here. Somebody can just kick down the door and take them and do something bad, hurt somebody with them. So it's nice to have a safe. It just gives you a certain amount of peace of mind. They kind of go with guns and the responsibility of having them. So anyway, Dusty, you haven't said much. He's out there trying not to fall into the mud hole that he's probably digging the tank trap.
I have to apologize to everybody for last week. I stepped away to help my husband, and I come back and everybody's gone.
Is that what happened? I don't even remember last week, but
yeah, I came back and we weren't live more, and HVS was sitting in there like, where is she?
Well, I got the whole aircraft carriers, too big to fail article read that I had found, and it's just one opinion. It would be a big disaster if 4,000 sailors got killed and an aircraft carrier went down, but
Yeah.
so that's kind of what they meant. So putting all your eggs in one basket, but it's a crazy world that we live in nowadays, and you never can tell what's going to go kerflooey next, the way things are.
Is that a technical term?
Kerflooey?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't used it in a while. Kerflooey.
Kaflooey.
I don't know. I've never heard that used in a military sense. So.
Oh my god.
It's always the first time though. So. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we close out this show?
Yeah, I'm chatting with G-Web over in the lobby. The show where he's going to talk about making a list of your firearms for insurance purposes, that'll be the Daily Gun Show on Friday.
Friday? Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, I try and watch the Daily Gun Show every day lately. I mean, sometimes I can't because I'm out doing things, but I'm
Yeah,
around the house.
sometimes I can catch it live. A lot of times I have to listen to it the next day at work, which sucks. I mean, it helps get me through the workday, but I'd rather listen to it live.
Yeah, it's fun. I think last time I was like, I had the problem with one of my gold bars going missing. It was like I had ordered this gold bar from JM Bullion, right? And I don't think I talked about this last week, but I don't remember. But basically, it was out for delivery through the U.S. Post Service, and it said out for delivery all day, and then like at 11 at night, it said no delivery update, and that was it. So I showed up at the post office the next morning. It's like, can you please check this tracking number and then tell me where's my gold bar? And so, the desk girl called over the supervisor, and he looks at the computer, which just said, I was like, why didn't she deliver it? It's out for delivery all day. Where's my gold bar at? And naturally, I'm concerned if a gold bar goes missing. And Bob, so I was typing that in the text on the Daily Gun Show, and Bob says, well, maybe I could put in a claim for the gold bar. So, but she delivered it the next day with some silver that I ordered from Provident, who will take Bitcoin. Provident Metals in Texas will take Bitcoin for gold or silver or platinum as payment. So if you earn enough Steemit credits on your Steemit account, then Steemit coin, then you could go to an exchange, send it to an exchange, trade it for Bitcoin, and then buy a bar of gold with it if you have enough. So,
Or buy
what's that?
preps. Don't even have to get gold. You can just buy preps with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, at Provident, they sell all kinds of stuff. So the prepping thing I did today is I bought this morning. I bought 3 cans of number 10 cans of Mountain House food, and what else was I gonna say? So I don't know when that could. I bought it off Amazon, and the price to earning ratio of Amazon is 186 to 1, which means that in 186 years you'll be able to get the money you invest in Amazon back. That's how long it'll take them for you to earn your investment back, which is a crazy price to earning ratio. So that you can tell the stock market's in a bubble. And basically, people are buying what's called the FANGs: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. And so basically, it's driving the Nasdaq up, but it's not all the stocks of the it's just these like 5 stocks that people are piling into that are running the index up. and people buy like the index, the QQQ for NASDAQ. So it's just, a real big bubble. Like President Trump said when he was running for office, it's a big, fat, ugly bubble. And what was else? Oh, there was one other important thing I wanted to say, but it keeps running through my brain. Give me a second. It's the leaky brain music.
Do I need to get out the pick so I can pick your brain?
Yeah. Jeez. I'm sure as soon as I end this chat, I'll remember what the hell I was supposed to say.
Well, we have wild boar, we found out, right out here just south of our house. About a mile.
I'm
So-
coming
How
over to go
many?
hunting. I'll be right there.
Come on. Come on, we want them gone.
How many boar?
Not many when I'm
our
done.
neighbor- Well, there's a ton around here. We have plenty of people that would let you go hunt on their property to get rid of the wild boar. You could take them, feed the homeless, pit barbecue them, smoke them, pickle them, can them, whatever, or just leave them to rot, whatever you wanted to do.
Oh, I've got to look into the Oklahoma hunting laws. Hold on, let me go. Everybody's got a PDF. Every state does.
Well, I know you can kill as many wild boar as you want. I'm pretty sure. I don't know as far as out of state people, but
Yeah, as well. You just have to find out if they recognize an out-of-state hunting permit.
No, you would get a
Or a hunter's ed card.
non-resident permit. Hunting
Yeah.
Season. What
Do they
to
recognize
hunt?
your hunting training program card, your hunter's ed card that you get?
in Oklahoma, if
Waterfowl, antelope.
you're
Antelope.
over born after 73 or 74, you don't have to have a hunter's
Before or
permit
after?
card.
74.
Before.
Okay. I
Before.
was born before 74.
Something like that. I just know my husband and I were both good, and we were born in 71. So
Okay, you can hunt feral hog in Oklahoma at night. Hey, there's your night vision.
yep.
If you are the landowner or you have a written permission from the landowner. Ooh.
We got plenty of landowners that would be happy to give written
Yeah.
permission.
Well,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
as long
but
as
you'll
you
if the law enforcement shows up, then you have to have it on you when they show up.
Yeah, you do. And we have a game warden from you know where, so yeah, you better make sure you're minding your P's and Q's with him around.
Yeah, get your paperwork right.
Purchase a license. Okay, here we go. It doesn't say out of state. They take Visa and MasterCard. Hey, continue. I'm serious. I got a Henry
so does
44
Hawaii.
that really wants to get used to kill some feral swine. So, and I want to make bacon out of them. So,
You have a smokehouse?
I'm sure I can pay a butcher to do all that. I am a new customer. And fill out all this stuff. I just want to know how much does it cost?
Oh man.
Let's
It's
see here.
basically $10 a year in Hawaii for your hunting license, and plus an extra $5 if you want a bird hunting stamp on your license.
Well, it costs a lot more here in Michigan. I mean, it's not outrageous, but
You just have to have taken the hunter's ed course, which is free, but you have to have taken it. You basically have to spend 3 days sitting in a room listening to some old guys.
Actually, you can take the hunter safety course online here in Oklahoma.
And here you have to have you sit in this elementary school for 3 days and listen to two old guys talk.
But now you can just take it online.
see, the combination hunting fishing license is $53. That's a residential. Where's the non-resident? I'll be looking into this. We'll talk later, Oily.
All right, yeah.
Got the hog hunting bug.
I want I want to get a hog. I'd rather go hog hunting than deer hunting, and I love the taste of venison, but I really want to get a hog. They say we have them here in Michigan, but every hunter I've talked to has said they have never seen one.
We got them here in Hawaii, but you know.
We've got them north of here for sure at the river. So there's a lot of people that we know that live around that area. My husband's gone a time or two. But now that we're getting them closer to here, they'll probably be neighbors as long as they know that you're not an idiot and won't shoot their cattle. We also have mountain lions around here.
I'm not interested in hunting those. I don't want to get hunted
Well,
by
they're
one of
not you,
those.
so you just make sure and watch for them because they sneak up behind you. So
Yeah, well, they're professional killers, so they kill professionally for a living. So
uh-huh. Yeah, my father-in-law had somebody gave somebody a cat and a kitten, and they took it home and they put it on the porch and went to go to their vehicle because they forgot something. They were going to take it into their children, and the mountain lion ran up and grabbed it off their porch and took off with it.
oh, somebody left dinner
Ooh, midday snack.
in daylight or at night.
Tastes like chicken.
In broad
Anyway.
daylight or at night.
It was close to dusk. It wasn't in the middle of the day, but yeah, it wasn't dark yet.
All right. I know I had something important to say, but it just really totally went right out of my head. So, okay. So we shot down a Syrian jet. You know, I don't think they want to have aerial combat with the United States Air Force. So the worst Russia might do is shoot off one of their S-300 or S-400 missiles if they're feeling infringed upon or something, or just pissed off, or whatever the word for mad Russian is. All right. I wish I could. My mind was just isn't working right now, and I haven't had anything to drink yet. Maybe that's the problem. Oh well. Okay. Anything else before I shut this one down?
$75
For
non-resident 5-day hunting, not valid for antelope, bear, deer, elk, turkey, or quail. Don't say nothing about feral swine. $75.
There you go.
personally, I'd rather just go to the market, and if I
Get
was
some
allowed
bacon.
to eat bacon, I would. Yeah, I'm not allowed to eat it anymore, but. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. What?
Or I could use my M1 Garand with 168 grain hog hammers. I know they're not good for the operating rod, but
You want to go M1 happy?
hey, it's one of the most accurate firearms I've got.
All right. Well, that sounds like fun.
Heck yeah.
All right. So, what are the three things for your show that we're going to talk about on Thursday? First aid, documents, and something else.
We are talking about first aid documents and comfort items and
Comfort
anything
items.
else that we did not cover that somebody thought of.
Okay. All right. So, your YouTube channel is Oily's Humble Home, right? Okay. So check that out, and we will be back next week, Monday night for Lock and Load, and we'll also be back on. We'll be around on Thursday, and I just started on Oily's Humble Home and for Bug Out Bag Prepper Powwow, and both started Steam account, so you might want to check that out. They actually pay you for like commenting, liking, and upvoting and stuff like that in cryptocurrencies. So it's new. It's it's not controlled by YouTube, and there's no censorship that I know of on it. Anyway, so we'll see you all next week. God bless Donald Trump and these United States. And let's keep rocking on. It's not too late to make America great.